Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. This is the English translation of the Majlis of Hazrat Maulana Qamar Uzzaman Saheb Damat Barakatuhum, which took place on Wednesday night after the Taraweeh Salat at Madrasa Nurul Ulum in Gataman, which is North Gujarat, India. This Majlis took place on the 14th of Ramadan 1444, corresponding with the English date 5th of April 2023. Hazrat Wala starts off this Majlis by quoting the ayat of the Quran Majid, هُوَ الَّذِي بَعَثَ فِي الْأُمِّيِّينَ رَسُولًا مِّنْهُمْ يَتْلُو عَلَيْهِمْ آيَاتِهِ وَيُزَكِّيهِمْ وَيُعَلِّمُهُمُ الْكِتَابَ وَالْحِكْمَةَ. Hazrat Wala says, it is the grand grace of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that we have gathered here to listen to the talks of Quran and Sunnah, and we have come here with the niyat and the intention of Islah and reformation. Hazrat Haji Imdadullah used to say to the attendees in his gathering, all of you people are better than me. You have come in the search of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, whereas I am just sitting here. Hazrat Maulana Qasim Saheb, Hujjatul Islam, he used to say that people went to Hazrat Haji Saheb because of his amal. Me, I went to Hazrat Haji Saheb because of his ilm. Allahu Akbar. And he was not even an istilahi alim. An alim in what we would call in the terminology, completed that amount of kitabs, etc., etc. And it wasn't just like that he became the peer of all the ulama of Deoband. There was really something behind all of that Allah Ta'ala had truly bestowed him with. When Hazrat Gangohi became his murid, he said, this is very well and very good. Before I used to ask my colleague, Maulana Sher Mohammad, about the masalas, ask, and then I used to make amal. But now since you have come, I'll ask you. Now of course he didn't say it in so many words, but this was the essence of it. There was a Buzrug that was in the jungles, and one alim went to him, understanding him to be a saint or this or that or the other. Nevertheless, when he went there and he reached there, he finds him that he's got cotton wool stuffed in his ears and in his nose, but on it he's got impurity, gandagi, whatever it is, dirt, filth, and all in the name of what? He did not want to hear the beautiful chirping of the birds, and he did not want to smell the good fragrance of the flowers and the gardens. So in breaking his nafs, he adopted that. Nevertheless, when the alim seen this here, he said, Hazrat, this is against the Shariat. What you're putting into your ears and in your nose is impurity, etc. This is totally incorrect. But he was so thankful to him that he said that, okay, from now I'll learn from you. So we learn from all of this here that you have to be humble so that you can learn and achieve something. On one occasion, a person who was so well versed in writing Arabic and speaking Arabic came to Hazrat Tanvi and said to him, I want to become your murid. So Hazrat Tanvi said, the Shaykh is supposed to be a'la and of a higher level, whereas you have achieved this which I didn't achieve. Rather go to another place so that you can benefit. Allahu Akbar. So the person who practices on that which he knows, Allah will bless him with the knowledge of that which he knew not before of. Allahu Akbar. And this was Hazrat Haji Imdadullah, that whatever he knew, he practiced on, and then Allah Ta'ala blessed him with such ilm ladunni from his side. And Allah Ta'ala gives the same message in the Quran Majid. وَاتَّقُوا اللَّهَ وَيُعَلِّمُكُمُ اللَّهِ. Fear Allah, and Allah Ta'ala will teach you. So, it is based on taqwa that you will actually receive your knowledge. Allah Ta'ala addresses the Anbiya alayhimu salatu wassalam saying, Ya ayyuhar rusul kulu minat tayyibat. O the messengers, eat from the wholesome. Wa'malu salihah. And not just do good deeds, but eat the wholesome. Allah Ta'ala told them to eat first. So we learn from all of this here that if a person once accepted actions, that will be based on beneficial knowledge. And beneficial knowledge will only come when a person's intake is that of halal. So Allah Ta'ala bless us with that which is halal. Now just look at the order in which Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam puts his request to Allah. Allahumma inni as'aluka rizqan tayyiba wa ilman nafi'a wa amalan mutaqabbala. Oh Allah, I ask you for halal rizq, beneficial knowledge, and accepted actions and deeds. Hazrat Gangohi used to say, saying Allah just once is better than this entire world and whatever it contains. Hazrat Mujaddid Al-Fithani used to say that I have no desires whatsoever other than I have a corner of solitude in which I can go and repeat this kalima, the kalima tayyiba. Hazrat Khaja Muhammad Masoom, when his father was jailed, what was his impressions and what was his pain in his heart, which he actually writes to his father, and he says, Abba, we are deeply grieved with your separation. And then the father goes on to say that negate this separation of yours, this longing which is in your heart, also negate that also with this kalima tayyiba, la ilaha illallah. And then he went on, or somebody else gives this an example as well, that the finger, it gets amputated, and then the piece that is separated, how we would say for a while, is just there for a while and then it's over. But the finger that's on the hand, still the portion of it that's still left there, the half portion which is chopped off, that will feel the pain lifelong, because every time a person looks at his finger, he will remember that, saying that the qaida and the usul is this, that at separation, greater pain goes to the parents than that of the children. And then he says, go and give your mother the same ta'aleem and tell her also to take out this objective from her heart of my emancipation from the jail. Negate that also with la ilaha illallah. If it is written for us, it is in our qismat, then listen, we will meet. And if not, most definitely we'll meet in Darus Salam. Now that's the amount of yaqeen that he had. So this tariq and this path to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is easy. And there is no path to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala other than this. Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Saheb used to quote this abundantly also. He says that it was the 15th night of Shaban, and Mujaddid Al-Fithani then begins to weep and cry. On inquiry from his wife that, listen, what's up, what makes you cry? He says that I see my leaf has fallen from the tree, meaning my life will now come to an end and death is impending and is hovering above me. So the wife was also of that caliber and capacity. She said, then what is the need to cry? Adopt contentment and raza, being happy with the decree of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on this as well. From our mashayikh, these are fundamental people, those that I am discussing about. And there were many of these wives that had reached also very, very great high levels. We have all gathered here also on the basis of this kalima tayyiba, la ilaha illallah. When we say la ilaha illallah, then we say la ma'buda illallah, that there is no deity worthy of worship but Allah. By that we negate the major type of shirk. And doing that also we say la maqsuda illallah, that listen, I have no goal and objective other than Allah as well. Because it is greatly possible that you're believing in Allah, but you're doing it and showing it, meaning your goal and objective is someone else. So, what La ilaha illallah also we negate the maqsudiyat, and by that we negate the minor type of shirk as well. Inna yasir riya'i shirkun, the slightest type and smallest type of shirk, also the smallest type of show and ostentation will be equivalent to shirk, is equal to shirk. So iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in, it is Thee alone that we worship and Thee alone that we ask for help. Hazrat Sayyidina Abdul Qadir Jilani used to say that we all passed and went through this gully of Riya, and from there we came out into Ikhlas. Our Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Saheb used to say that this is also one marhala and one stage that people have to go through, and it is the stage of Riya, show and ostentation. Therefore do only for Allah. Wahidullah, proclaim the oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, فَإِنَّهُ رَأْسُ الطَّاعَاتِ, because that is the top level of the obedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Without Tawheed there is no ibadat. On one occasion, Hazrat Ali radiallahu ta'ala an enters the Jama Masjid of Basra, and then he sees people in the different corners giving wa'az and nasihat. He scolds them, he reprimands them, and he says, who gave you people permission to give wa'az? Now he is at the head of our silsila, and then he says, I will go on to interview you, take your examination, and listen, if you pass, fine. Not a problem, you can continue with your dars. And if not, then I will have to ask you to leave, and you no more have the permission then to give wa'az and nasihat to people. And then he starts off with Hazrat Hasan al-Basri. He said, come, let me ask you. But Hasan al-Basri also was so confident about this year that he says, yes, go on, ask me, not a problem. That's how confident he was of the knowledge that he had. Nevertheless, when he asks him, what is the foundation of all good? He says, al-wara, it is parsai, it is piety. And then he goes on to ask him that what is the destruction of our deen and this matter? He says, it is tama, it is that of greed, it is that of attaching hopes to all others or anyone other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Hazrat Haji Saheb also, he would not leave things like that. If there was anything that he saw unbecoming in the people that came to him, he corrected them immediately. It is for this also I mentioned to you earlier that Hazrat Maulana Qasim Saheb said that I went to Hazrat Haji Saheb because of the ilm that he possessed, that knowledge, ilm ladunni. Today whatever you're seeing that's going upside down here, it is because people do not have ilm sahih. If you had ilm sahih, you will have amal sahih. And our mashayikh made mehnat on this year that we can have sahih ilm, and so that we can pass on sahih ilm to the ummah. So ya ayyuhar rusul kulu minat tayyibat. So if you want amal mutaqabbala, you need to have ilm nafi'. And if you want ilm nafi', the effects of it can only come into the knowledge if your intake and your consumption is that of halal. Hazrat Shah Ismail Shaheed, somebody said to him that, Hazrat, what is this year? You have made the silsila and your forefathers' names, you tarnished it by going to such a place where there are loose women and so much of evil and sin is being carried out there. Nevertheless, he went to this place and he goes, But I'll come to that there. Hazrat Wala goes off there and says, starts speaking about other things. That if a person, despite doing everything, and realities are not opened up to him, then he must understand that if not one, then maybe all of the razail are still prevalent in him. How come? Matters are not being opened up to him. You know, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speaks about amal. And if you carry out amal, I will give you Jannat. But the Rasul of Allah sallallahu alayhi wasallam spoke about, we will not enter into Jannat except with the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now outwardly there seems to be some type of contradiction here, but there is no contradiction whatsoever. I spoke on this mazmoon and there was a very huge gathering there, and I said to them that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was speaking from the platform of abdiyat and servitude, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was speaking from the platform of divinity. Allah ta'ala is speaking that. Allah is appreciating. Allah Ta'ala understands your weakness, etc. That listen, if you do the amal, I'll give you Jannah. And Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was speaking from his platform, understanding well that where will we ever be able to fulfill the right of Allah Subhanahu Wa Ta'ala. Despite whatever we do and how much we do, it will not be equal or not suit the shan of Allah Subhanahu Wa Ta'ala. That's why he said it will be through the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that we will enter Jannah. So rihas sa'ada wa shaqawa ala al-wasawis. This axis of the mal is, or the mal of good fortune and shaqawat, wickedness, it is based on wasawis. So also save yourself from waswasas. Somebody asked Hazrat Taraweeh rahimahullah that how will I stay away from waswasa? So Hazrat Taraweeh then gave this example that listen, people are troubled by mice in the house. So what will a person do at that time there when there's mice in the house? He's troubled by them, and everybody will agree with this also. They will say that, listen, light the candle, or put the lamp on, or switch the lights on. And then you would see there's nothing shuffling around this side and running from this side to that side, because you on the lights. So he says similarly, when a person is challenged by waswasa, it is because of the darkness that has entered his heart. He should illuminate his heart by carrying out zikrullah, and when he does this here, there will be nothing running from this side of his heart to that side. He will no longer be troubled by that of wasawis. Man buliya bil waswasa fa alayhi bi kalimati tayyiba. The person who is tried and challenged by waswasas and whisperings, then he should make it necessary upon himself to make takrar of the kalima tayyiba. On one occasion, Uthman radiyallahu ta'ala an was sitting so lost in grief and sorrow, in deep thought, when Umar radiyallahu ta'ala passed by him and made salam, and he got no answer. Nevertheless, he comes to Abu Bakr radiyallahu ta'ala and says, I don't know what's up with Uthman. I made salam to him and he gave no answer. So Hazrat Abu Bakr says, no, wait, there must be something. Nevertheless, he goes to him and he says, Uthman, what's troubling you? And he says that this is troubling me, that Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam has left me and I did not ask him regarding that of waswasa. Now who's saying this? Uthman radiyallahu ta'ala. So he says, don't worry, because I have asked Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam about this. It is that very same kalima that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam presented to Abu Talib, which he rejected, the kalima tayyiba. From this, Hazrat Shah Saheb says that awwalul mashayikh is Hazrat Abu Bakr radiyallahu ta'ala an. The khilafat was not just something which was external. but it was the batini as well, the internal aspect as well, where they started ruling over the hearts of people, and whatever spiritual problems people had experienced, they helped them with that as well. And if you still don't understand, then try, experience it and see. That's the only time you will able to truly appreciate and understand it. Imam Ghazali says that when you are feeling uneasy and you are feeling restless, then just make wudu and then ponder then at your condition without wudu and with wudu. Tajidul farq al-bayyin, you will find a complete difference. So if this is the case with wudu, then what can we say about salat? Allahu Akbar. Today when people come and they complain about waswasa, and you make talqeen and you give gentle instruction of kalima tayyiba, they are not happy with that. They want to know about some ma'joon. You must give them some type of a medicine and some type of a paste or this or that or the other. So this is kalima tayyiba. Allah Ta'ala keep us on the straight path. We came here also that we can stay on the straight path. Ramadan is also here to teach us that great lesson. هو الذي بعث في الأميين رسولا منهم يتلو عليهم آياته ويزكيهم ويعلمهم الكتاب والحكمة وإن كانوا من قبل لفي ضلال مبين. Even though before that they were in open deviation, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala set out the tarteeb and He took you out from that type of deviation that you were in. But He used the Rasul as His means, rather He put the Rasul with Him in this year so that He could assist you and take you out from whatever you are going through. Allah Ta'ala has given you this tariq, this deen, so that you can reach Him. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, Taraktu fiikum thaqalain. I'm leaving you and going. I'm leaving you with two things. Kitabullah wa sunnati, the Quran and my sunnat. So what is it? I was speaking to you about Ali radiallahu ta'ala an, and it is that of wara, is the root of all good, piety, and greed, tama, and putting your hopes in others aside from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is just the destruction of your deen. So Hazrat Shah Waliullah used to say, he writes, and Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Saheb used to quote this year abundantly, وَاصْحَبِ النَّاسِ عَلَى شَرِيطَتَيْنِ, accompany people, but let it be with true prerequisites and conditions. Here also he mentions about that, قَطْءُ الطَّمَعِ عَنِ النَّاسِ وَعَمَّا فِي أَيْدِ النَّاسِ, abandoning this of having hopes in people and their possessions. Take that out, then you can accompany people and sit with people. So these are the ibarats from Hujjatullah al-Baligha, Tafhimat Ilahiyya, etc. Hazrat Tanvi used to speak about two personalities, and he would say that just like how in the winter season leaves fall off, dry leaves fall off from the trees in such abundance, he says, I see the ulum and ma'arif raining down upon people, just like how coming down upon people in such a manner, just like how dry leaves fall away from trees in the winter season. These two personalities were Hazrat Shah Waliullah and Allama Sharani. So I was saying to you, and we have students here as well, make amal on that which you know, and Allah Ta'ala will give you the knowledge of that which you knew not of before. لا يكون العالم عالما حتى تكون في ثلاث خصال. An alim cannot truly be an alim until or unless he does not have three characteristics within him. One is that he must never ever understand his juniors to be insignificant. لا يحتقرن من دونه, he should not understand his juniors to be insignificant. Rather, promote them, help them, push them forward, وَلَا يَحْسُدَنَّ مَنْ فَوْقَهُ, and he should not have hasad for those who are above him, because if he's not humble in front of them, how will he benefit with that ulum and that ma'arif? And he should not accept an exchange upon this deen that he is imparting. Allah Ta'ala give us sahih ilm so that we can have sahih amal. The Quran is there, but let us make tadabbur. Let us take out some time in the day, every day, where we understand the Quran, because this is the message of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to humanity. Maktub Rabbil Alameen. It is the letter of Rabbul Alameen. Like Imam Ghazali speaks about this, just like how that son picks up the letter of his father and he reads it and he tries and understand it, and he turns the paper this way and that way and tries to read through the lines, and is anything written at the bottom or on the next side of the page. And if that's the case of your son's letter or the father's letter, then how much more should it not be regarding the letter of Allah to humanity, which is Al-Quran. Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Saheb used to say that make it a habit of looking at the tarjuma of the Quran. Allah Ta'ala keep us steadfast on the deen. So I was saying, Allahumma inni as'aluka ilman nafi'a wa amalan mutaqabbala. So I'll ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for beneficial knowledge. Together with that, seek refuge in Allah against knowledge which is or proves not to be beneficial. Allahumma inni a'udhu bika min ilmin la yanfa. Oh Allah, I seek protection in you against knowledge which is not beneficial. So Allah Ta'ala, let us turn our attention towards the knowledge of the Quran. MashaAllah, the students who recited the Taraweeh Salat here read excellently, which is also denoting and pointing out to the level of the Asatiza and to the level of the Madrasa as well. Hazrat Tanvi went to Bengal, and then a student recited first, and after he recited, he was so affected by the recitation. Hazrat Tanvi said, "What do you want me to speak about? What do you want me to speak about? The child or the student has read already." Allahu Akbar. هو الذي بعث في الأميين رسولا منهم يتلو عليهم آياته ويزكيهم ويعلمهم الكتاب والحكمة وإن كانوا من قبل لفي ضلال مبين. The deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to pass it on to others, there is nothing or no ni'mat greater than that. So make mehnat so that the realities can be opened up in front of you. So nevertheless, people taunted at Hazrat Maulana Shah Ismail Shaheed. And they said, that, what did you do to the family's name that you went there? So when he went there anyway, he said, I will not speak unless he went there to beg. So they gave him something, and he said, no, I will not accept that until or unless I say something. So then he went inside, and then when they seen and realized that this is Hazrat Shah Ismail Shaheed, they became embarrassed. They all sat down in front of him. He laid out his chadar and he spoke about what tini was zaytun, and he spoke about, look at how Allah Ta'ala has given you beauty and created you in the most perfect form. Nevertheless, such a waz, such a taqreer he had given, that the ladies there that had mandi on their hands started rubbing their hands in sorrow and in grief and remorse over their past life to such an extent that blood started dripping from their hands. It is for this reason that Hazrat Maulana Qasim Saheb, a man of that caliber, used to say that the haqq and the right of waz is a waz for Hazrat Maulana Shah Ismail Shaheed. Nevertheless, he went on to say to them, that don't become restless. Listen, whoever your love is for, let it be on a jaiz and a permissible basis. Make nikah with that person. They done that, they followed that nasihat, and then they joined in jihad. These women folk started seeing to the needs of the animals, the horses, and to the food needs of the mujahideen, etc. So what was it about? They were carrying those buckets, etc., due to which blisters appeared on their on their fingers. Somebody asked at that time there, are you people happy with this type of a life or your original life? And they said, how can we even compare the two? That time there, we were in the disobedience of Allah, and now we are in the obedience of Allah. So much so, our iman, we perceive it at this time and understand it to be strong. So much that if you have to place it on a mountain, even that mountain will not be able to tolerate it. Allahu Akbar. Now just like how a person has that urge every now and then to go and relieve himself, Akhbasain. Just like that, Hazrat Maulana Shah Ismail Shaheed had such a type of a need in him to say Amar bil Ma'roof and Nahi anil Munkar, such type of demand from within he had. Nevertheless, let us make dua. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Maulana Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Maulana Muhammad. Allah Ta'ala, out of His grace and His fazal, all these talibeen and seekers have come here. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the tawfiq and the hidayat of making amal on this, what has been said. Rather, Allah Ta'ala let it prove to be beneficial for the entire ummah. Rahmat ke abar bankar jahan bar mein chahiye, alam ye jal raha hai, baras kar bujaiye. Become clouds of mercy and spread out through the entire world. This world is on fire. Rain down upon it so that this fire can be extinguished. Meaning that look at what is happening throughout the world. Adopt and bring into your life the beautiful example of Quran and Sunnah, the Sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and whatever is happening out there in the negative, by the positive that you are adopting, all that will be rid of, and there would be peace. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم بحرمة سيد النبي الكريم صلى الله عليه وسلم.